this might just be the most comprehensive, in-depth guide to using this or any other MIDI controller with your Tonex. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 setups that you can use with your Tonex and this little chocolate controller to squeeze the absolute most out of both of them. The setups go from really simple and functional to MIDI deep dives that let you do all sorts of things. I'm going to show you how to use this to turn your Tonex into a multi-effects unit. I'm going to use this to show you how to protect your Tonex and run a whole gig with just this and your pedal board way out of the way. I'm going to show you how to regroup your banks. I'm going to show you how to get to your sounds really quickly. And it's all in this video. Let's get cracking. Here's setup number 1. The simplest way to use this is to use it straight out of the box as a MIDI program change controller. On the software, make sure you've got it set to program change A. Then what will happen is when you press that button, you'll get the first preset on your Tonex. That one you'll get the second, third, and the fourth. So you'll have 4 or a bank of 4 sounds, as opposed to the Tonex on its own, which gives you a bank of 3 sounds, which means you can have a clean, a breaky uppy, a distortion, and a lead sound at your feet and just on one pedal. Then if you want to change songs or have a different setup, you may well have something where you want your clean to be really ambient, and then you might want a big delay on your crunchy sound and then a much bigger delay on your lead sound. And all you do is you change banks on this. And to change banks, you press 2 buttons at once and then you hit whichever sound you want. It's as easy as that. Okay, so it turns it into a bank of 4 rather than a bank of 3, which I think is a little bit more useful than the 3 on the Tonex. What you do have to be aware of is that your librarian in Tonex will still be set up in banks of 3. So when you go into your librarian, look, you see there's bank 0, it's got A, B and C. You'll have to think in 4, so you have to ignore these little areas here and think 1, 2, 3, 4. And that will be your first bank on here. Your second bank on here will start at 1B if you like, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4. It's simple maths, you're counting to 4, get your drummer to do it. And what makes it really easy to translate from your librarian onto this pedal is this column up here. If you're on 0 here, then it's 0 up here. And if you're on 1 here, it's 1 here. Changing banks is dead easy as well. All you do is the old 2 button at once trick. So you press those 2 at once and you're going to go up a bank. These 2 at once and you'll go down a bank. The presets don't change until you select the preset within a bank. So watch. If you press, I'll turn it on, let's do it. If you press those 2 together, it goes up to your next bank, and can you see it flashing? And then when I press that button there, it's going to go to that preset within that bank that I've just picked. Go to my next bank, and I want this one this time, and there we go. If I want to go back down a bank, I can go down 2 banks at a time, if you like, and be where I started. Easy as that. This first method is great if you've got limited space, or it can be the dive bar saviour. Because if you've got drunk people dancing backwards towards you, waving their beer in the air, you know what's likely to happen. And if you've only got that 30 quid pedal in front of you, you haven't got to worry about all of your pedal board and all the expensive kit getting beer on it, getting stud on it, etc. Okay? Big saver. Setup number 2. This setup is, if you like, dive bar part 2. So this time you get 1 bank of sounds. So maybe it's your clean, your crunch and your lead, which is probably all you need to get you through. And then, I don't know about you, but it drives me mental if my delays are out of time. So we're going to set a tap tempo on here and a tuner. You will need to make sure your tuner is just visible from where you're standing so that you can use it. But yeah, that could get you through. We're going to do this one in the software. It's called Cube Suite. If you haven't got it, go to M-Vave's site, download it. It's great. And in here we've got 2 panels. You've got your left panel and your right panel. What we're going to make sure we do is we have Advanced Custom Mode 1 selected here. That's really important because then you get this window that lets you do the work. If you've got it still in Program Change, that's blanked out. Okay. Then when we think about our buttons, we've got foot switch A, B, C and D. A, B, C and D. I had to think about which way around they were there. and we've programmed them one at a time. Foot switch A, I can add a program change. A program change is just a number on your Tonex of your preset. Dead easy. And if you look at the Tonex software down the right hand side column, it tells you what that number actually is. So you can have any preset you want in there. It doesn't have to be in order. You can program anything you like in there. So I'm just going to make it easy. I'm going to go channel 1. I'll make sure this says PC, which is program change. And data is the number. So I'm going to have 0, which is going to be my very first preset on my Tonex. So foot switch A is going to be program change 0, and make sure you say on MIDI channel 1. Okay, when you've done that, you OK it, and that's that set up. Next, you go to foot switch B, and you do the same thing. Add program change, but this time we want a different preset, so we're going to have program change 1. OK it. Foot switch C, add program change data, and we're going to go for 2. Now I've got the first 3 buttons on my chocolate set up to be the first 3 patches on Tonex. Then we're going to change this one to be our tap tempo and tuner for our delays. So to set up our tap tempo and our tuner, that's 2 things. So we need a little setup in our cube suite that's going to give us 2 options. And if we look here, we're going to go to foot switch D, which is where we want our tap now tuner. And in these options here, we want the bottom one, which is mode step short or long. Bottom one there. And it explains what it is in bad English. It says, and this is great, send bank A message every time you step on a foot spike and lift it. Send bank B message when you step on a foot pin. What it actually means is, in A, you do a short press, and B, it doesn't do anything until you do a long press. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our tuner onto the long press and our tap tempos onto the short press. So to do that, we need to know which controls they are. So looking at our MIDI implementation chart, it shows us that control change 10 is tap tempo and control change 9 is tuner. We don't need to worry about giving it a value because that is automatically set to toggle, and that's fine. So to do this, all we need to do is go to bank A. Remember, got the right foot switch and this double mode thing at the bottom. And we're going to add, double click that. We're going to change this to control change. And we want this one to be our tap tempo. So we're going to set that to 10. Like that. And then add here. Double click, control change, and we're going to set this to 9 for our tuner. Okay, 9 for a tuner, there we go. Remember, that is your long press and that's your short press. That's it, tap tempo and tuner on that button. Now we've got it all set up, so we've got 1, 2, 3 presets and a tap tuner. Now you could set that to something else if you wanted to. You could use it to turn on the modulation block. Number 3, it's going to show you how to set up a bank on each of those buttons. So one bank in Tonex, remember, is 3 sounds. So you can have a clean, a crunch and a lead on each of those things. The advantage of that is you can set up 4 setups for 4 different kinds of songs. You might have one for ballads, you might have one for country stuff, you might have one for metal. Or you could take one amp and have 3 different sounds for each amp. So you might have 3 plexi sounds on that one. A clean crunch and a lead. You might have 3 high gain sounds on that one. You might have 3 AC30 sounds on that one. And you can have 3 Fendery sounds on that one. And that's going to cover a lot of bases, isn't it? And all you do is you set them up, one press of that gets you the first preset of each of those banks. This is how you do it. By the way, did you like and subscribe yet? Okay, this one's dead easy. All we have to do is send a program change for the first patch of each bank and save it to each of those 4 buttons. So let's have a quick look in Tonex itself. What we're interested in is the program change numbers of the first patch you want to hear of each bank. You could actually make it the middle one or the last one. It doesn't matter. As long as it's within that bank, it'll pull it up on your Tonex and you'll see all 3. But we're going to go with the first for now. So let's say we're going to go for bank 0. There's our first sound. and you can see the program change number is 000. Ignore this number for now. What we're going to do is we're going to set button A to be 000. Then we're going to set button B to be the first of this bank. And you can see here it's 003. So that one is going to be 003. Bank 2, etc. is 006. So that goes under there. You get the idea. You don't necessarily have to have just the first 4 banks. You could pick any 4 banks and assign them to those buttons. But I'm going to do the first 4 just for the sake of the video to make it easy. Let's get into the software. Again, you want to be in advanced custom mode. You only need a single step because we're just going to call up a bank and a preset. That's fine. And we only want it to do one thing. So one press, one thing, that's it. Making sure we're on the first foot switch A. We are going to hit add. It's going to bring up by default the program change, which happens to be what we want. Leave it on channel 1, that's fine. Your Tonex will be fine there. And data 1 is the program change number. And we already said that we wanted, for that first bank, program change 000, which is where it happens to be there. There's 0. We're on 0. You don't need the extra ones. Okay, so I'm going to add that. I'm going to OK that, and that's that one done. Foot switch B. Well, we said we wanted that to go to first of this bank, which is 003. So I'm going to set button B to, again, single mode, add that to 3. There we go. Program change 3. Okay. Foot switch C is 6. Okay. Foot switch 3. Single mode because that's all we need. If you leave it on the other one, it doesn't matter, but put it on that one just for the sake of it. Add. And we're going to put 6 on there. Okay, then we'll stick that one on there, and I can do the maths. It's 3, 0, 3, 6, and the next one's going to be 9, isn't it? So let's put 9 on there. Okay, and there we go. That's it. Now all I do is I hit that. It takes me to the first preset of each bank on my Tonex. I've then got a new Tonex set up with 3 different buttons on it that I can then pick from. If I want my default to be the second one, so if let's say I'm doing clean, crunch and lead, and I always want the crunch one to be the first one I get to, well, all you need to do is set this to not the first of each bank, but to the second of each bank, and that will work as well. Okay, so have fun with that one. Number 4. This method turns your little chocolate pedal into a multi-effect unit for your Tonex. So you've got your Tonex with your amps on, your 3 settings, and now you've got a multi-effects pedal in front of that. You are going to get a boost, a modulation, a delay on and off, and a tap tempo and a tuner, all on these 4 buttons. And this setup will work on any preset anywhere in your Tonex. This could sit in front of your Tonex and control a lot of things within the Tonex on every parameter. This is a really useful setting, but it is a little bit more involved, but don't panic, it's not too bad. So this time we're going to have a boost, modulation, delay, and then tap tempo. Okay, you already know how to do the tap tempo and the tuner, so I'll not add this one, you can go back and watch that. But for the other 3, this is how you do it. For the booster, we're going to use the compressor. Now, it's up to you to, in your Tonex preset, to decide on your compressor settings to get the boost that you want. You can use it after your gain stages and after your amp, and it's just going to make everything louder, and maybe there's a little bit of compression if you want it. Or you can put it in front to make the boost hit your amp harder and drive it a little bit harder. It's entirely up to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to select foot switch A for our booster. Then we're going to add a control change. Now the control change for your compressor pedal, which is what we're going to use as a booster, let's look it up. In your magical MIDI implementation chart, it is comp power, so control change number 18, and on is a 127, off is a 0. Okay, so control change, 18 and 127. Okay, now with these you can have two ways of switching them off. You can either just have a control change to turn it on and then press another preset on your Tonex to turn it off and effectively reset that preset, and then when you go back to it you turn it on again, or you can do this and you can have two actions and you can have another control change here to turn it off. The downside of that is if you turn it on here, you've got to then turn it off here. If you turn it on here, change the preset on your Tonex, the next message this will send will be an off. So if you want to turn it on again, you'd have to press it twice to turn it off and then back on again, even if it was already off, which is a bit confusing, but think of it like this. This will send whatever it's told to send. If it's got two messages that it alternates between, one's an on and one's an off, it doesn't know that you've done something different to the Tonex. So if you've pressed on here, the next thing it's going to do, no matter what you've done on Tonex, will be an off. So make sure if you're going to use that method, you go on and then you turn it off before you do anything else. That's the simplest way. But if it does go wrong, that's why. So again, change control change. We want control change 18. And we're going to set that to 0 for off. So now that will turn your compressor on and off again. Modulation we're going to put on foot switch 2, and our modulation, let's look it up. There it is, 32, and again it's an on and an off. Okay, so let's go foot switch 2. We want two of these. Do the same thing with it. We can have an on and an off. So I'm going to go control change 32 and 127 to turn it on, and then add control change 32 and 0 to turn it off. Now you could leave it at that and just bake into your Tonex presets whichever modulation block you want. So if you want a chorus, then you put a chorus in your modulation block and you leave it there, but you turn it off. However, you can use this to just send a chorus every time. So watch. If I want to look up what a chorus is, my MIDI implementation chart, and it tells me modulation type is control change 33. And out of those types, I've got those 5 options of controllers 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, from a chorus, tremolo, phaser. So if I want it to be chorus every time, all I need to do is send 33 with 0, 0. So controller 33, then select 0 for chorus. That way, whenever I turn that on, it's going to be chorus. If I want it to be tremolo, I will set that to 1 or flanger to 3. Okay, so this value here on control 33 tells you which modulation block you're going to turn on. And I'll OK that. And that's it, done. So whenever now I press that, that's turned that actually into a chorus pedal. By the way, if you're struggling with this and you'd like me to do a MIDI for guitar players video, let me know in the comments below and we'll sort that out. Moving on to delay, we're going to put that onto foot switch 3 and look at our chart. Delay power is control change 2, and again it's an on and an off. So add CC 2. And we want it on, which is 127. Okay, then add an off, control change 2, and we're good. There's our delay set up. And remember, for your tap, we've already done that earlier in the video, so just flick back and watch that again because it's exactly the same. And number 5, bit of a cheat, I know, but use the link at the end of this video to see how to use this as stomp boxes to control all the modulation effects in Tonex. There you go, 5 ways to squeeze a lot more juice out of a Tonex with this real little budget MIDI pedal. There's loads more videos on Tonex, so don't forget, like and subscribe. Go and watch them. Go and watch this one or this one. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.